Yo, what is going on, my YouTube people? 29 United back here with another video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing on how well will the Canadian national team do in the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Before starting this video, there's a couple of things I would like to say. First off, this video was inspired by Next Generation Football, a good friend of mine on YouTube. So I'm going to be putting his link or his video down in the description so you guys can go check it out if you want. Also, I'm about 80 subscribers away from 3,000 subscribers, so if you guys can smash that subscribe button, smash that like button as well, it would help the channel massively. Join all of my socials, my Discord, my TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all those links will be down in the description. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. This video is going to be in 2 chapters, so there's going to be one section talking about a certain topic, and there's going to be a second chapter discussing a topic. I would also like to say that this video is going to be part of a little series here. Now, obviously, you might think that I'm going to be doing this for every single country in the World Cup. That is not the case. I will be doing it with some other countries that I know best of in terms of football, and those countries will be Iran, Germany, and right here, Canada. I might do bonus countries in the future. Obviously, either it's going to be part of a collab, but we're just going to have to wait and see for that. So I'm going to be basing off my first chapter with 2 things. Number 1, I'm going to be talking about Canada's qualification process. And number 2, I'm going to be talking about the group that they're in. So with this qualification process, I think it's quite obvious that Canada has done very well, way more than it should have, to be completely honest. CONCACAF group, for some, isn't that hard. I mean, if you're a fan of a European team, for you, the CONCACAF qualifying is probably not that interesting to watch. But if you're someone who has been a fan of the Canadian national team for quite some time, you may have noticed that, well, Canada has always been struggling in these CONCACAF games, unfortunately for them. But now it seems that they've just made this qualifying group so easy. And against the big opponents, notably the United States and Mexico, they've played every time, and it just seems like nothing was really going to bother them in those games, and it really did seem that Canada were just going to win it from the beginning. And I think John Herdman, the manager, has done a fantastic job. So what I have to say here is they've definitely made this qualification look very easy to them. That's how I feel. When they played against the United States and when they played against Mexico, the tension was definitely there. You could feel it, especially against Mexico. There was tons of things going on, and if you've watched those qualifying games, you would definitely notice that it was not a walk in the park per se. There's been definitely a few challenging games and games where Canada should have not lost. But I would say in 95% of those games, Canada did make it seem easy for them. And that's something that teams like Croatia, Belgium, and Morocco have to watch out for. We're going to get into those in a bit. The second part of this first chapter is now the group. So obviously, like I just mentioned, Canada is in with Morocco, Croatia, and Belgium. And that is a really tough group, to be completely honest with you. And you got to feel for Morocco, as they've just had back-to-back tough groups. And I've been thinking about this quite a lot recently, and I'm kind of thinking about it like this. Morocco is a team that were linked in with Iran and Portugal and Spain in the 2018 World Cup. And now they've been into this 2022 World Cup, now with Belgium, Croatia, and Canada. And in my head, it kind of makes sense to switch Canada and Iran around. And for me, I feel like it's kind of going to be a similar group. In Morocco versus Canada is going to be a crucial part, not only for Canada, but for Morocco as well. I feel like both teams know how of a must-win game it is. And if Canada can get those 3 points across the board, I feel like that first game against Morocco is going to be a huge deciding factor on how the group is going to end. And I feel like it is going to be the most important game. People are going to say, oh, Canada are going to struggle against Belgium. Oh, they're going to struggle against Croatia. What about Morocco? It is definitely a winnable game for Canada, and it is a game that they have to win if they want to advance to the group stage, in my opinion. So that is it for the first chapter, and realistically, Canada just have to show what they're made of against Morocco. That is the deciding factor for me, and I feel like that game is going to depend and really show what's going to go on in that group. So with that being said, we're going to move on to chapter 2 of this video. So the part 2 of this video, I want to discuss about the players themselves. how is Canada's team doing? I think it is very notable to say that Canada is quite a young team, and their star players and Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, etc., are all young players, and I think that is something that is quite remarkable. How a team this young have achieved first place in CONCACAF and now are in the World Cup after so many years for Canada. I think that by itself is just already a huge accomplishment. And no matter what happens in this World Cup, whether Canada makes it or not, this is a huge achievement for Canadian football. And this is a side note here, nothing have to do with the players themselves, but I feel like Canadian football has just been growing and growing and growing for the past couple of years, whether it's the MLS or the Canadian Premier League or the MLS Next Pro even. And those leagues are just growing by numbers and viewership or just in everything in general. And I think that's something that I need to add and just congratulate Canadian football on, because Canadian football is becoming a powerhouse, and I can guarantee that. Moving along, back to the players, like I said, this is a relatively new squad, a youth squad, but although it has its pros, it definitely has its cons. These players have, never played in World Cups before and are generally quite inexperienced when it comes to these type of things. The biggest games they've ever played are against teams like the US or teams like Mexico. Nothing on Morocco's level or Belgium, and definitely not Croatia's level. So that is something that can definitely affect them. But if John Herdman has this idea of how this team is going to work, I think they can get in no problem. But this inexperience will definitely affect them, in my opinion, and I think it's going to show. But nevertheless, these players have a lot of hope. And like I said, a lot of people are going to be watching Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies, but I think it's also notable to look at these other players that have made this qualification possible. Like, for example, Tajon Buchanan. Buchanan, which is someone I've been watching ever since, he's been in the MLS, has been a gem for Canada, and I feel like he'll be a huge part in this World Cup squad. But then you've got other experienced players such as Atiba Hutchinson, who has been playing in Turkey for the past few years, who I think will put that experience onto the youth players as well. And if we go beyond those youth quote-unquote star players, there are a couple of youth players that are starting to become better and better. Notably, Ismail Kone, who currently plays for CF Montreal in the MLS, who's been actually quite recently linked with Norwich City, but unfortunately things didn't work out. And these are the type of players that I see that no one really knows unless you follow Canadian football. And those are those small players can really impact the team. And I feel like if they develop well, they can just be a powerhouse, not only for their club, but also for Canada. So in general, these players are youth players, but are players that can make magic happen. So we're just going to have to wait and see. So how I think Canada will do in this World Cup is, I think it will all again come to that one game against Morocco. If they can snatch those 3 points, I think it's going to look very positive. But if they start off the World Cup on a bad note, I think it's not going to look that great. So for that reason, I am very optimistic for this Canadian team. And like I said, even if they do not make it in this World Cup, it's a huge achievement for Canadian football. And for the years to come, the next World Cup is going to be here in Canada, also the United States and Mexico. And it's just things are looking better and better and better and better for this Canadian national team. So with that being said, that is it for this video. If you guys agree, disagree, have any general comments or inquiries, let me know down in the comment section down below. I would love to chat with you guys, or if it's on here, on Twitter, Discord, wherever. Like I'm saying, if you guys are new, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Damn, I'm on red alert. Else you went up in the